Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to another Game Dev Daily. It's been a few days since the last one. I believe we're at number 29 tonight. It is February the 16th. And yeah, we're one away from 30. From getting a full month's worth of dailies in. And we are over halfway through February now, but still going at a decent pace, I'd say. Missed last night's, unfortunately, but hey, we are back today. Alright, so I'm gonna be honest, again, been a few days since the last one. I don't remember exactly what we were fiddling around with last time. If I pull open all of our stuff. I do remember, I think the last thing we were working on is getting the Slooper to fire a projectile that would more or less pretty reasonably track the player. So I think I finally got it to like be a good arc no matter where the player's positioned. Like it's always reasonably accurate. Supposing that they, stand still, which they may or may not. The only thing I'm not a big fan of is that it kind of still has a bit of momentum even at like no speed. Also, I need it to not fire backwards as well. It only does that like because technically it like still is aggroed by the player. Like if the player runs underneath the Slooper, like goes past it, it should de-aggro immediately. But anyway, other than that, we have everything working pretty much fine. And again, pretty happy with the accuracy on this thing. I'm gonna see if I can get it to shoot all the way up here. Yeah, like that's accurate. It's just hitting the floor. I don't know how many times I have to shoot this. How much health does Branch Bug have? 20, clearly. Yeah, there's some interesting. Like, the chain attack doesn't work exactly how I want it to, but we're working on it. Can I hit this guy? Okay. This one is... Slooper's not actually properly tagged, it seems. Maybe I can fix that up. Slooper left, take a look at it real fast. Has an edge collider. It just doesn't have a what do you call it? 2D what? It has a collider. It is missing a rigid body. That's what it's missing. Needs one of these, and it needs to be kinematic. Using full kinematic contacts. We can save that. And I'll do the same thing here. Cool. Alright. Fix that up on the Slooper. Okay, so what is on the agenda? Well, I hadn't really planned much. However, what did I want to do with the level? Like, I could mess around with the level now and try and get it to, like, actually... Okay, like, I'm thinking, like, two options. We can either try to, like, add some more assets, and I'm mainly considering, like, background assets and stuff to make the scene, like, kind of pop out a bit more. So I would consider something like that, just to make the level look a little nicer. So that's an option. We would like have different platform sprites as well, rather than this just like basic ground sprite I made. We could do that. We could kind of tinker around with the level design a bit more until it is a bit better. I want to mess around with the pea shooter spell actually. That's another thing. I want to get the pea shooter spell to be working a little nicer. And I think another thing I want to do is like add a crouch. I want the player to be able to crouch so that they can shoot while crouching. To like basically just so they can like shoot lower. Like my main concern is that I think if the player fires a pea shooter bullet at a branch bug, I think it's going to be too high. So the player will have to crouch to shoot the branch bug, basically. So we could try adjusting the pea shooter spell if I want to do that. Is that a better investment of my time at the moment? It might just be. I think what I might do, can I make, I can make empty. I think what I'm going to do is just have, I kind of want to put all of this stuff into, just like kind of folders so I can kind of keep it a little easier to sort. And then I'll have one for like backgrounds. So all these will go in here. This one will go in here. I missed it. These will go in here. Okay, and all we're really trying to do here is just tuck stuff inside of folders, more or less. So I don't really want these top level game objects to do anything. And in fact, I don't want them to have a position at all. Oh, that's really annoying. Okay, I'll just leave them. I don't know why this position... I don't know why this has an assigned position. I guess it probably made it at the like average point of all the objects that I've dragged into it. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, I just won't touch it, but these game objects are not meant to actually do anything, they're just meant to be folders. I wonder if there is an actual folder thing I can use. I think there likely isn't. Probably do just use empty game objects and you just don't do anything with them. And we could dump all the enemies in one as well, but then I think that might be a little confusing, so I might leave the enemies out separately. This I'll put as part of, I'm going to call this environment, not scenery. Okay. So we can see if I highlight all these, it'll be all these, which is good, and then ground right, ground left, kill plane down the bottom. And the rest looks fine. Okay. So I can tuck them and we can see a lot more of the scene objects now. It's a bit easier to find stuff. Alright. So do we just want to do work on the pea shooter then? I'm not opposed to it. Let's make it like the pea shooter and I'll try to incorporate the crouch button as well. So the big thing with the crouch button is it's going to be like when you hold down, I'm just going to squish the player's hitbox, I think. Now, the big issue is, I think I only want the player to be able to crouch while on the ground. If you are moving and you start holding the crouch button, I want you to stop accelerating. So you should initiate like a slide, basically. And then the annoying thing is, well, what do you do if you're crouching and then you're below a roof and you try to stand up? What happens then? And I think the answer at the moment is I'm just not going to worry about it. Who cares? But it will be something I'm concerned about at a later point. There's a lot of like programming adjustments we're gonna have to make for stuff that is just above the player, because currently I'm kind of just ignoring it, but it is inevitably going to be raised as an issue. Okay, so really quick, I guess I don't really need a full screen MS Paint for this, but I get whatever. May as well. So what are we actually looking at doing? Well, what I want to do is, here's my player. Right, our player is like a rectangle. So first thing is I want to make the player be able to crouch, and I think for crouch I'm just gonna like half it. So it's gonna be like pretty basic like Mario Bros style crouching, where as long as you're holding the down key, you shrink to half size, right? And then like the center of your player's hitbox is like here, but when you're half size it's like here. So this is where, like, in terms of the pea shooter, this is where the pea shooter is going to spawn from, rather than from this high up. So you'll get like you'll definitely get a better like range of shooting. And I probably need to work on like how to shoot upwards still. I don't really like how I'm currently doing it, so I might tinker around with the controls a bit more, but for the time being I just want to get like shooting at like a ground level. So that's what we're going to do in that regard. And then, yeah, in terms of like directions that the player can actually fire the pea shooter in, again, if this is our player and we want to fire projectiles, we can obviously shoot them out this way and this way. If we're holding up and right or up and left, we can shoot them out at these diagonals. But the problem with this is that the player has to be moving to shoot in this direction. This is the same control scheme that like Super Metroid follows, where you have to, well actually that's not true, because in Super Metroid you do have like an aim upwards button. So it's possible I want to incorporate something like that. If I'm holding up, I can obviously shoot upwards. In a moment I'm going to be incorporating the crouch shot, so that's what that's going to be. So like the annoying part is like, well, what if the enemy's like in this range? Oh, Control Z. So if the enemy is like here-ish, then typically what you would expect the player to do is just like jump and attack them, like jump and shoot them, or get underneath them and shoot upwards, like do this. So you can either do that, or you can do this to shoot an enemy that's here, right? Those are your two options. But like, it's possible that I want to have like kind of a median way for that player to actually like aim in this direction, which I haven't really thought about too much, but we might get around to that. I'm just gonna remove this ball because it's bothering me. All right, so let's do the crouch mechanic, huh? That's the next thing I want to work on. So for the player, if we're holding down, so I think it's just going to be an enter crouch state, basically. Apply held inputs, move left, move right, sustain jump, apply press inputs. So I do held inputs in fixed update, and I do pressed inputs in regular update. Which is, yeah, a bit annoying that I have to differentiate between those, but I guess that's just how that's working. So held inputs we check in fixed update because that's when I'm doing physics. But for just pressed inputs, I have to do it in the regular update. Sure, okay. Because the regular update is when the press function's like actually updated. Whatever you call it, the get key down. Or the get key, sorry. Okay, so in this case, we're working with held inputs, because the down, we're checking for held inputs. So let's go into here. Go to definition. All right. If we hold left, move left. If we hold right, move right. And I want one for crouching. So we do this, crouch. Now you should be able to jump out of a crouch. You should not be able to move left or right. Or you should be able to move left or, well, I just want your momentum to stop. So the first thing we're gonna do is actually just get the player to shrink. I think that's step number 1. So if inputs dot get key down. Oh, sorry. Not get key down. Get key down key. That's what I actually want. If we are holding the down key, then... and it's possible that I'm going to want to have initiate crouch be inside... the key press part. So yeah, in the same way where I have initial jump, I might want to have an initial crouch function as well, which is what actually initiates the player entering this. And in fact, for now, I will do it. Yeah. I'm going to call this initiate jump as well. Initiate jump, initiate crouch. If inputs.getKey, in this case, it is get key down because we're looking for the first frame we press it. Down key. The first time we press the down key, we want to enter into a crouched state. And I'm going to set this as a boolean. So wherever we have jumping, I want like the equivalent. So jumping, and I'm going to have one as well for crouching. Private bool crouching. And it's possible that at some point we might combine a bunch of these booleans into an enumerator that is basically like a state machine that we'll use. Because obviously you can't be crouching and jumping at the same time. But some of this stuff can be applied in conjunction, in which case we wouldn't want to use a state machine for. Like, you can be invincible and jumping, so we probably wouldn't use that. But for some of this other stuff, like, again, crouching and jumping and some of these other factors that, you know, you are in a state. I mean, I believe that's what we did with the enemies. With the enemies, they do have we have a state in, which is basically their state machine. And I currently only have 2 states, but, you know, later down the track, we might have more than that. And for anyone who's like not really sure like what a state machine actually is, basically whenever you are running code on any kind of like player or it's usually used for like enemy AI, in which the enemy AI can have you define certain sets of behavior depending on what state it's in. And there's ways for it to change states and enter into other states. And the state that it's currently in drives what it does. And eventually it will toggle from one state to another. That's basically a state machine. So we can have similar stuff like that on the player, although it's less applicable. I was just looking at it in terms of like crouching and jumping. But a lot of these other booleans, we can't actually apply that. So crouching by default is false. And I would want to do stuff like if I get hit. What I probably need is like a player reset function, which resets a whole bunch of these values. Because right now I think I'm just manually toggling them. Like, I'm probably also going to make this a public bool as well. Because, like, what happens if the player gets hit while, while they're crouching? What then? We probably want them to stop crouching at that point. Now, it might just happen naturally if, like, the player gets knocked off the ground. And it's possible if the player doesn't get knocked off the ground, then we will still allow the player to maintain crouching. But we also do stuff like we check if our inputs are locked and whatnot. Which getting hit does lock our inputs. Okay. We're gonna come back down here. All I want to start by doing first is change my player size. That's the only thing I want to start with. So it is on applied pressed inputs, not held inputs. So if we press the down key, then we're going to say transform dot scale Transform.local scale is equal to new vector 3. And it's going to be transform.local scale.x. Transform.local scale dot y divided by 2 and transform.local scale.z. Okay, and we're going to see if this works. So when we press the down key, we just want to hopefully see our player shrink in half. And the sprite's not going to update or anything. I mean, it will update in the sense that it will just be squashed in half. But like, if if we were to properly like add sprites to this game, you would have a completely separate sprite for crouching. But yeah, we can see that that worked. Now, one thing to note, oh, and we can keep, I didn't think about that, but we can keep getting smaller. One thing to note is you see that I like jump off the floor, which is not what we actually want to happen. And another thing I can do is I can set this crouching boolean. So we can say if not crouching, do this. And then we set crouching to true. So this way it'll only happen one time until we uncrouch, which I haven't actually done yet. But like now if I go back and do it, I won't be able to like keep shrinking and getting smaller. Now the last thing we need to do is actually move the player a little bit so that we need to move the player a little bit so that they're still on the floor, basically. So we can translate them here. We don't have to do it with the regular fixed update, and it would be a pain in the ass to do it that way anyway. So it's transform.translate, and all we want to do is move them downwards. So it's 0. It's 0 blank 0. And now the question is, how much should we move down in the y direction? Our player's anchor point is set on their center, so when we half them, we actually have to move them down by 1/4 of their initial size. Which would be half of their new size. So we can probably just use that. Transform.local scale.y divided by 2. And then we need to move them downwards specifically. And hopefully this will mean that we don't see this like little jump thing that happens when we crouch. It's still happening. Okay, interesting. Didn't work. It's because I'm using local scale instead of height. So what I actually want is not local scale. I want dot. What are my other options? Game object, Euler angles. Transform, not position. I want like the height. I might just have to use the hitbox to get my size. I think I do have to do it. So it's get component. Rigid body 2D. I think it's rigid body 2D that I'm using. Or is it Collider 2D? It might be Collider 2D, actually. I think I use the Collider, because the Collider has the height that I care about. And then what do I use from here? I'm probably doing this elsewhere, and I should just find... I mean, I absolutely am doing this elsewhere. Okay, hold on. Let me... Give me a second. Get component box Collider 2D dot bounds. Okay, it's bounds that I'm using. Now, there's the alternative where I can use dots. No, I can't use dot size. It is just dot bounds. Does this have an X? I gotta look because, so I think this will work, but we have seen in the past that there's the difference between having, like, say we have, why can't I, oh, it's because I'm using the eraser tool. Like, let's say I have this rectangle. I'll do it in green so it's a bit clearer. Say I have this rectangle. You can either get this height. Oh, keep doing that. You can either get this height or you can get this height. And those are two different values. And it depends on what you're actually looking for. I think this one gets you the first. But it might be the second. Where am I doing this? I think I'm doing this in the Jet script. Yeah, it's just dot size instead of dot bounds. But I'm specifically declaring it the box collider. Whereas I think the difference with the player is I just called it Collider 2D. So for whatever reason, Collider 2D does not have a dot size, which is interesting. But if I use the box collider, which the player's hitbox is a box collider, from here I can refer to the size instead of the bounds. In our case though, because it is just it's a rectangle that isn't tilted, both values will give us the same thing. So we can use either or and it won't matter. Now, hopefully this should actually do what I wanted to do now. Okay, it pushed me down by too much, which is interesting. So change our scale, half it. Okay, I mean, we can draw this, right? So I mean, that should be right, no? Unless it's getting the old value. It could be getting the old value. Let me try dividing this by 4. I think what I would have to do is there's the sync transforms function you can call. Yeah, okay, that worked. There's the sync transforms function, and I think that would resolve this issue. But we can just do divide by 4. So we're changing our local scale, but when we do this translate function, this value is not being run against the new size, it's getting run against the old size because the transforms haven't been synced yet. I believe they don't get synced until the next frame, unless you manually sync them yourself. So that's the issue that we have here. But alright, okay. So we've set this up. This is to initiate a crouch. Now the next thing I want to do is to say if I'm crouching. So we're gonna let's just do it here, uncrouch. If crouching, I should use the private one. If crouching, then check if we're not holding. Oh, you know, I can just, does it matter? I guess I'll do it anyhow, whatever. If crouching and not input.key down, not input.get key down key, then we wanna uncrouch effectively. And to uncrouch, we just do the same thing we did here, but in reverse. So we're gonna copy this. Crouching is gonna be equal to false. we're going to double our local scale instead of halving it. And lastly, we need to shoot ourselves upwards, right? And the amount upwards we're going, is it going to be the same? Well, now we're using a different transform. I think it's... So I'm at half size. I increase to full size, which means I'm a quarter under. Okay, so I don't even have to invert this either. Oh no, I do. I'm a quarter under, which in terms of the previous size was half. So it's divided by 2 here, I think. Alright, let's take a look. So now, when I press the down key, I go down, and I have to hold the down key. Because the moment I release the down key, I spring back up. And so here we've basically made this crouch button. Now the one thing that's definitely annoying about this is the camera is also moving alongside it. Which, I mean, I could fix. I'm not going to worry about it for the moment. I think it would be easiest to have the camera, have the player nested inside of a game object, and the camera's also nested inside of that. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want the camera to track the player regardless. Okay, so there's a quick fix for this, which I might just go with for the moment, which is that I'll make an empty object, and I'll call it just player tracker. Okay, so the player goes inside of the player tracker. Now I want the player tracker to have 0, 0, 0. Sorry, I don't want it to have 0, 0, 0. I want the player to have 0, 0, 0 inside of the player tracker. That's what I care about. So now the player is always following the player tracker, and I want the camera that is inside the player to actually be on the player. Oh, it's a pain in the ass because of prefab. I can just unpack the prefab then, that's fine. How do I unpack it? Prefab, unpack. Okay, so now it's not directly related to the prefab, and now I can move this camera. Okay, lovely. So now the camera is following the player tracker instead of following the player. Oh, this is not going to work how I want it to, though. Because the player tracker is not actually going to follow the player. So this is not going to do what I want it to do. What this is going to mean is the camera's just not going to move at all. The player will move around, but it will move around independently from the camera. Wing, 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 wing. Okay. I guess for the time being, then, we'll just leave this as it is. I'll revert all the stuff I did here. Go to the point where we delete the player tracker. Okay, lovely. Alright, so we won't worry about it then. The camera's just going to be a little jank because it's going to bob down with the player when we crouch. We'll probably try and fix that later, but for now it's fine. Okay, so that's how it detects when we uncrouch, and this is how it detects that we are crouching. I mean, technically I don't have to do anything else. If no longer holding crouch key, uncrouch. And the other thing I want to do is, if I am crouching, don't apply left and right movement. I think is fine. So basically, if not crouching, do all this stuff. If I jump, I don't want to be crouched anymore. So another way we can uncrouch is if we're airborne. The moment we become airborne, we can immediately uncrouch ourselves. I mean, unless we want to be able to jump crouch, but I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's kind of dumb. I mean, like, you can do it in, like, Mario, but I think it's not, like, it's not really a standard thing. So I think I'm going to say, if crouching, if no longer holding crouch key or airborne, uncrouch. And airborne is pretty simple. It is just, we have a boolean for that, right? We have a jumping one, yeah, or not is grounded. I'm going to use that. Or not is grounded. And then where is this actually based? Right, it's just defined here based on the down hit distance. Okay, so we'll just use that. That's fine. Which means the moment I jump now, if I've done this properly, as soon as I press the jump button from a crouch, it should uncrouch me. Okay, issue here is... okay. Issue here is simply that this needs to be bracketed. So if we're crouching and we're no longer holding the crouch key or airborne, uncrouch. So the issue there was it was just applying it every single frame and it didn't. It was bad. Didn't work properly. Okay, but now we only apply that script if I jump. So as soon as I jump, it uncrouches me. Also, if I'm moving left or right now, it immediately kills all my momentum. I can still slide with it, which is fine, which is what I want. You should be able to, like, slide a little bit. So I'm happy with that. And if we were ever... Oh, interesting that it doesn't work here. That is annoying. Is it platform dependent or is it on every platform? It looks like it's on every platform. Okay, what I'm going to do is, I think this is just a matter of this calculation for the is grounded. I'm not going to have it be equal to 0. I'm going to say it's less than 0.001. Go to 0.01. And I'll have that count as is grounded. Can I just use this? I don't have to put an F. I guess if I want it to be a float, I need to put an F. As opposed to a double. I think this is going to resolve the issue. I think there's just not enough leniency here. No, it's not even that. That's concerning. I can't really frame by frame it either because it is happening in one frame. Okay, let me see if I do, let me reduce the precision again. I don't know if this is the issue then. It might not be. I don't think it is. That being said, I think I am going to leave it as this as opposed to equals 0 because I'm not working with exactly precise things here. Okay, so it's immediately uncrouching me, and it's uncrouching me because of this. But I can crouch on the ground floor still, I'm pretty sure. It's just not crouching on the platforms. Can you verify this? Yeah. So I can crouch here, but it won't let me crouch on these platforms, on any of them, for that matter. Which is interesting. So the question is why? So we're just going to log all our things. Crouching, and we're going to plug that in, and we're going to plug the last one in, is grounded. Okay, so are we crouching? Are we Oh, should this be get? No, that should be get key. That's fine. Yeah, it's not meant to be get key down here. It's just get key. So let's see which one of these is firing. So basically what we would expect to see, when this works on the ground floor, let me quickly go back to the code real fast. I expect it to see that crouching is true. I guess it's like, what is it? What do I expect it to see? I mean, we shouldn't see this when I hold down. It's when I let go. It gives me true, false, true. So it sees crouching is true. It returns false for get key down, which is what we want. And grounded is true, which is also expected. Now, if I instead move out of it with a jump, we'll see true, true, false. Which we do. True, true, false. And in fact, let me clear it and do it again. True, true, false. Now, what happens when we press it here? It's true, true, false, which means it's saying that we're not grounded is the issue. And the question is why? And I think the answer might be that we are going below the hitbox. We're transforming ourselves below the hitbox, I think is what the issue probably is. Weird that it happens for this, but doesn't happen for the ground floor. So it's an issue with the translation. So like what I could try to do is like divide it by 3. Oh, what did I just do? I could try dividing this by like 3.99. And this might get me close enough. I would first confirm that it still works here. Which it does. It still doesn't work here though. Interesting. So in that case, let's just try 3.9. Now at some point I'm expecting if I don't translate myself down far enough, it's not going to even work on the bottom platform. But it might start working on the top one. Still working here. Still not working here. Alright, well an easy test is, well, what if we just do like 3.5? I would expect this to work on neither. Because at this point we're just translating by a completely wrong value. So I would expect neither of them to work. Okay, it still is working here. And in fact, it looks like, oh, I'm going like further down than I'm wanting. Okay, so I'm actually having the inverse issue. Can I do this to like go through the floor? Yeah, I can. Okay, interesting. Alright, so what I actually should have been doing was like 4.01 instead. Let's start with just 4.1 and see what happens. Also, what is this Unity message I'm getting? Getting some port issue. Unable to use UDP for VS Unity messaging. Apparently, something's already stolen whatever port Unity's trying to use for this like logging. Anyway. Not actually a problem. Okay, so now I can't do it here, right? Because I'm not translating myself down far enough. Doesn't work here either, interestingly. And you can even like see the jump. It's not clear here, but you can see it here. The jump is like pretty noticeable. Okay, I guess what I should actually be doing is printing what is my distance. That's actually what I That's what I should be doing from the beginning, actually. So when I uncrouch, what is my distance? Debug.log. What I'm curious about is what is my down hit dot distance. Is it going to be a big number or is it going to be a small number? 4.24. Okay. So it is the fact that it's not hitting this platform, it's going through it. Now, is that an issue with this itself? I don't think so. If I look at this pass-through platform, it has a ground. Terrain layer ground. Also, it's a branch bug collider, but we ignore that. That's just for the branch bug. What is this symbol? I don't remember. I feel like I figured out what that was last time, but I've already forgotten. Ground right also has this ground with layer ground. So it's not picking up the top box collider. And I think the other issue was... I think it's because we're translating slightly underneath it. Now, if I go back to where I was doing this, and I set it to 4.1 again, let's just say 01. So it was 4.24 earlier. It's still 4.24, but if you can like see the jump here now, which is why I'm wondering why the distance, the down hit distance, is not picking it up. Like if I do 4.2, I will unequivocally jump off the ground. Undoubtedly is the word I was looking for, not unequivocally. So we're jumping about 0.02 off the ground. I think it's just not even detecting this. Ah, but it detects it from here. Okay. Interesting. So if I stand on this branch, it will pick up the branch below me now. So here it picks up the floor. Here it picks up the branch below. If I go over here, it picks up the floor. Yeah, it's annoying. What if I do even more ridiculous amounts? Let's do 5. So we're gonna jump even less. I use shouldn't bricks. Okay, there we go. It's still not picking it up. That's crazy. Okay. Last thing. What if we 0, 0, 0? What if I do not translate? In fact, I could have just commented out the translate function, as it turns out. Ah, picks it up. Oh, that's so annoying. Why is it not picking it up here? Something we can look at, we can go to the scene and we can compare these hitboxes. So this is currently where my player is sitting at, which is slightly above the ground. And it's probably accounted for by that, the fact that I changed the down hit distance to be 0.01 instead of 0 exactly. If I look at my player's box collider, I click edit collider, I think it's pretty in line with the base. And then if I look at this collider, also very in line. I don't know why there's an inconsistency between this and between this. I feel like they should work the exact same. They more or less have the exact same, they more or less have the exact same prefab. I'm gonna set this back to 0 because I want to confirm if that is what was causing that tiny gap. I'm pretty sure it is. I could probably like reduce it to be 1,000th instead of 100th, and you would basically. Oh no, it's still like that. Interesting. What determines if I can't fully? No, it's just doing the snap right now. That's just where it snaps it to. So you don't fall through it, right? Right, what's causing this is, if I go back to the script, that gap is being caused by the gravity snapping. So if I go to where the gravity is actually happening, oh no, it's not here, it's where we're translating. Transformed opposition. Oh, I guess it's not even here then. Wait, where is it? Check that there's actually ground under us. As long as there is ground under us, check that we're not grounded. Apply gravity. But I also do collision checks, and this is what does the snapping. Right, okay, it's this thing. Set our speed to 0 and our position on top of the object. And so down hit distance at this point should be returning 0. And if I go to where we're actually signing down hit, yeah, you can see here 0.99f. So this 0.99 is what's actually keeping us hovering slightly above the platform. And the reason that I have to do this rather than setting this value to 1 is because if I set it to 1, it will go through the collider, which is bad. Okay, Unity Raycast doesn't hit if inside collider already. Why can't I use a Raycast while standing inside of a collider? Now, it says in the docs that Raycasts are not detect colliders for which the Raycast origin is inside, but even when I alter the origins, which is clearly above, it still doesn't work. Instead, use something like check capsule at your character's position. I might want to try rethinking how I'm actually doing this rather than skimming above the top. Still doesn't really explain though what's going with that crouching situation here. So let's see if we can still resolve this problem. So my issue is that I'm not picking up this collider when I shrink myself and translate myself. Sync transforms, do the down hit. Maybe that's how I do it then. Okay, I have a theoretical solution to this problem. I can probably leave this stuff as is. However, I want to update this one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shrink ourselves. Then the next thing what we're going to do, we know the distance that we have to move down is the down hit distance, right? But I think we have to physics.sync transforms. Physics 2D probably. Sync transforms. Okay, so this is gonna sync our transforms, and then we're gonna translate by negative down hits dot distance. Ah, but this is going to be out of date. I would have to get a new one. It's like, I just have to do the down hit again then. I simply just have to do it a second time. Which I guess is fine. It's just annoying. Where are we? Do I have to sync my transforms though? I do, right? I still have to sync the transforms. So I want, I don't want to call this, I don't want to overwrite the down hit value. I want this to be a just completely new variable. So it's just going to be like the, floor gap, I'll call it whatever. Floor gap dot distance, whoops. Okay, and then hopefully this will effectively mimic snapping me to the floor. And then I won't have to worry about, you know, if there's inconsistencies. Okay, doesn't work here. Doesn't work here. Well, we love that. Notably though, I'm getting 0.4 there, and here I'm getting 0.4. Okay, 0.4 in both places. I should be consistent with this box size and with this amount. I wonder if that was what was causing issues. Maybe. It should be 0.01. Or I should... like, it shouldn't just be down. It should be down plus 0.025 in this case. I kind of want to try messing around with this stuff a bit more, but I won't do it right now. We just want to figure out why this isn't working. So let me print debug.log. I want to know what the floor gap.distance is. I mean, I think it's close to working. It just isn't quite working. Gave me 0. Well, that's that issue. Which means my raycast isn't even hitting. Here it gives me 0 again. So what's going on? That's not correct. Var floor gap is equal to physics2d.boxcast down. Down plus new vector 2. New vector 2, get component box collider 2d.bounce off stage x. 0.99, that's fine. Angle 0, vector 2 down to the direction, infinity, and hit ground. Why does this not... why does this return a 0? That's not what I would expect. Down gets set here. Ah, maybe this is the problem. But I'm doing sync transforms. Oh, but I'm not re-getting down. Yeah, okay, dumbass. Okay. This is like really not ideal. Like, I shouldn't have to do this. I really want to work on fixing my hitbox detection so that it like actually does this properly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is gonna work now, but yeah, I'm not happy with this as a solution, even though it does work. Okay, but I mean, we got there. Like, really, for me to be like genuinely, you know, happy with this working properly, I would need to rework the hitboxing stuff. So notably, when I hit the ground and I'm holding down, oh, it snaps me down. Well, that's not great. Why does it snap me down? Why does it? Oh, that's why it does that. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Determine another bug. So first of all, let's get rid of the debug.logs for now. I'll leave this in for now, whatever. Get rid of all this crap. If I go to initiate a crouch, I have to see that I'm not crouching. And I also have to see that I'm not airborne. And is grounded. Because if I'm not grounded, I should not be able to crouch midair. And that's why I was like snapping into the floor, because that's part of the logic that we've just written, is to snap into the ground basically, which is fine, because if I only want you to be able to crouch while on the ground, it's fine to snap into the floor. Like, that is effectively doing what I want to do. I just don't want to be able to do it in the air. Now, another thing is, if I hit the ground and I'm holding the down key, I probably want that to initiate a crouch as well. I think. So I might, rather than even having any of it happen in the key press, I might just do it all in the key hold instead. So if not crouching, also check if we're holding the key. I think is what I'm going to try and do. Oh, not the jump. I want to pull this out. Let me just see if this works if I move it in here. So if we're not crouching, then check if we're going to crouch. And I'll just use get key, because it's only going to get called one frame anyway, which is the first frame, because then it'll set crouching to true and I won't check it anymore. So let's give this a spin and see if it works. Okay. And what the side effect of this should be, that if I come out of a jump and I hold crouch, I will enter the crouch, yeah. So that's the main thing we wanted to accomplish there, which is working. So you can come out of a jump into a crouch. And I think like another thing I want to do is that if I'm crouching, I think I want to reduce my drag value by like half. I should be able, you should be able to use it as like a slide basically. Because right now, like, you just stop as per the normal drag amount. So you can see, like, if I'm moving right and I let go, I kind of still slide for a little bit. And the crouch is doing the same thing, but I want the crouch to actually do even more than that. So where do I have my drag value? Jump force, jump height, excel, max X speed, max Y speed. Where am I setting drag? It must happen in physics. Which I feel like I should just get rid of this script, I'll be honest. Drag is here. I think that this script is kind of pointless. For now, I'm just gonna set drag equals value. and then I can just refer to it from the player script. But I think I'm going to get rid of that physics script entirely and just have all the physics stuff be on the player. Because I thought I was going to be universal across enemies and stuff, but at the end of the day, I think you want physics to be dynamic between different entities. Like, you know, you don't need to have that kind of consistency. You really want, like, different enemies to be able to have different physics that is different from the player. Okay, so in that case, where am I doing... If I'm entering a crouch, I also want to set my drag value. So I want to say physics, oh, what is it, physics? Physics.drag. Is divide equals a thing you can do? You can. Interesting. And then I want to do the inverse when I come out of a crouch. So coming out of a crouch, which is happening... where? Oh, literally right here. I'm just blind. This should be time equals instead. And I might even make it like a third. I might even make it divide by 3. Yeah, like you slide way more now, which I think is better. I think the sweet spot is like 2.5. I think this is what I want. It's already okay. I feel like 3 would be too much, like seeing how much 2 is there. I want it to be a little more, but I think 3 would be overkill. So I feel like 2.5 is going to be good. Yeah, like a decent slide in on the crouch. You can also get that coming out of a jump as well. You can get that slide. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. So player can slide, and then lastly, what we can have now, which I can actually demonstrate. I mean, we've had this as soon as I added in the crouch feature. But if I put P-Shooter onto one of our spells like this and come back, we will now see normal P-Shooter height is at the player's midpoint. And this, I believe... Oh, it actually doesn't miss the branch bug. But, like, I could make the branch bug smaller so that it does miss. But what we see now is, if I jump up and I crouch, I can guaranteed hit the branch bug. Like that. So interesting, I can hit the branch bug from this side, but not from the other side. That is very interesting. Okay, there's like some collision checking issues here. Oh, it's because the bullet goes to the point and then the branch bug moves and it doesn't register a hit. Oh, that's really annoying. Maybe I don't make the bullet snap then. I should only make the bullet snap if it's gonna hit terrain. No, I just shouldn't make the bullet snap at all, right? You kind of want the bullet to snap though. Ooh, how do I resolve that issue? There's just no snap, right? It should go from, as soon as it detects it's gonna go in there, it registers the hit. That's an interesting problem that I didn't realize I was gonna have to deal with. It actually looks so dumb too. The bullet just follows behind the branch bug because it can't catch up to it. Alright, we are gonna have to fix that. I want to get hit on the way down. Alright. Oh my god, the diagonal shooting looks so bad now, actually. Like, it looks fine if you like back out of it, but it looks so bad when you're moving. It's been a while since I've like looked at it. It's gotta like move diagonally in regards to you. Yeah, that's not gonna work. can just like crouch jump around. And he makes some like movement tech where if you just like crouch jump everywhere, you get like a crap ton of like sliding speed. It's very interesting if you jump through the platform and you're holding down, you like insta crouch onto the platform. Which it looks super jank. Because you come out of it for like a frame. I think it's just because the platform is barely higher than the player is why it does that. Yeah, looks a bit weird, but whatever. Okay. Okay, we did some more polishing and whatnot, and we can now shoot down. So we have identified this issue with the branch bug. It's going to be an issue with like any moving enemy, though, to be honest. Any enemy that's moving away from a projectile, the projectile's not going to be able to catch up to them. So it probably just means that I don't snap the projectile to the thing's position, and I just let it move as it would normally. The thing is, you don't want the projectile to move past the thing, though. Like, it should effectively register the hit. As soon as it detects it's about to land the hit should register. So maybe I shouldn't be relying on the collider then. Which is, like, fair. I could just not rely on the collider. Because where it's moving to is not where the enemy is going to be next frame. It's where the enemy was before it moved that frame. So both the bullet and the enemy move in the same frame, and the bullet's like constantly chasing after the enemy, right? It looks super dumb. I think it would apply to every projectile I have as well. So I could use like the thorn or something. I mean, it would kind of be impossible to do that with the branch bug and the thorn, but if I could theoretically somehow do it, you would see a very similar result. Where the thorn would just like glide behind the branch bug and never actually catch it. Alright, well, I mean, I think that was a pretty good session. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna call it there for tonight. Not a bad daily. I will not be on tomorrow night, I do not believe. We'll probably be busy, but should be on for the 3 or so days after that. So we will maybe solve this projectile issue, maybe look at this hitboxing stuff. What else did I want to do? Just tweak the P-Shooter spell in general, I think. Stuff where, like, again, shooting diagonally while running looks really jank. It just doesn't look like it should. So we can fix that. And then maybe adding, I don't know. We'll tweak around with it a bit. It's the most basic spell by far, and it was definitely the first one I added to the game. So there's a lot of stuff that needs to be tweaked with it. So we will, yeah, we'll probably do that next session or the session after. But yes, I think that's it for me tonight. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks everyone who stopped by for tuning in, and I'll catch you all next daily. Have a good one.